Hey guys, I am IBigAndScary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay from oGaming Academy, this time featuring in our bottom left-hand side from Team oG.Hiei, our blue Masters level Terran, and his opponent in the top right-hand side from Team Lethal Perfect is Exquisite, our red Masters level Terran. Both players very high Masters. Very high Masters indeed. On Derelict Watcher means it's going to be a very fun map, especially if they choose complementary styles. It's kind of a bummer whenever everyone decides to go for mech and just wait around for 30 different years and before they actually are aggressive. But it's much more fun whenever one goes bio, one goes ground, mech, or heavy air. When you see those Banshees because of their recent nerf or buff, seeing Banshees a hell of a lot more often, and just tech labs on starports more often. So you see a lot of Ravens. It's a lot more dynamic than it used to be. I love HOTS TvT. And unfortunately, the opening really hasn't changed too much as far as non-cheese plays going, but it's changing the very manner hello, but we see that the very traditional location, oh no, non-traditional location of the barracks. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Hiei's throwing out his barracks right here. It's very nice. That's very cute. Let's go over to the wall off, and what? No, it's way down here. And that's exactly why. So that when Hiei shows up here with the SCV, he's like, what? Where's the barracks? I'm going to look over here, I'm going to look over here, and there's no barracks. Holy crap, that means I must produce 30,000 things back at home to defend my CC. In reality, the barracks is just over here. It's just nice and hidden, tucked away. Not an overt sign of aggression, more actually of a sign of a defensive posture, because Exquisite wants to be able to throw down his CC while making Hiei a little bit more cautious, a little bit more defensive, because he's worrying about a proxy. So SCV from Exquisite gets in here, sees that the barracks is just about finishing. Supply depot not thrown down just yet. Both players flirting with the 300 supply mark, but now that the barracks are done, orbital command starting up for both players. And the refinery well underway. First Marine going to be popping out from, oh no, okay, a Reaper. I got a little bit confused. Marines coming out from Exquisite back at home just to deny any and all scouting. So a little bit of a backfire here, because I don't think Hiei actually sent out an SCV to scout yet. No, yeah, hasn't doesn't know a thing about what Exquisite's doing back at home, so the non-traditional location of the barracks really not accomplishing anything. We see that the second barracks is also being positioned up at the third. Weird location here too, but it's probably because of this guy right here. The SCV is still inside the base. It snuck in right before the supply depot was done, and while that Reaper will succeed in cleaning it up, Exquisite might be able to come back and look around inside, and if he saw that, he know that there was nothing going on back at home. He was probably going to be expecting a CC on the low ground sooner or later. But because that SCV didn't see anything at all, maybe he's trying to trick Exquisite into scanning something later on. It's always a good idea to be able to hide stuff. It's nice. It's friendly. 2 racks, though, means 2 Reapers, both of which will be making their motions over to the natural for Exquisite just to see what's happening. But because that barracks is up, because these 4 Marines are defending pretty much the only way into the map, even though there's a large swath of cliffs here for the Reapers to abuse, only one of them can really be used by that Reaper. It's this guy over here. This is just a little bit too tall for those guys. So while it might look wide and open, really there's only 2 ways in, right here and right here, both of which are very well defended by these Marines, poking around just to see if those Reapers will be trying anything. And I don't think they will be, at least not for the time being. 2 more Reapers being added into the mix, a 5th making its way over just to the main ramp for Exquisite. Another barracks being added on. We got some tech labs coming out and the CC on the low ground. So he is just now actually taking his own natural, which is puts him just a little bit behind. I mean, the orbital command currently being morphed up on the high ground. The Reapers coming in, scoring a really nice win, taking out 2 of those Marines, however, at the cost of one of their own kinds. It looks like a 4th Reaper's moving out too. But really, what can these Reapers expect to do, though? Yeah, they can heal up, and yeah, they can really go toe-to-toe with those Marines, but these Marines are exchanging blow for blow. They're trading very, very well, and it looks like only 1 or 2 of those Reapers will actually survive, and another Marine is inside that bunker. So now with only 3 Reapers, how much economic damage can he actually afford to do, especially if these Marines continually attack these SCVs? However, remember, he is just now getting his CC, so this is keeping him in the game. This is actually evening up the economic disadvantage that he was at by getting out these many Reapers. He needed this to happen, and he's actually making this really pay for itself. Getting in there, taking out 4 workers killed. Oh, there goes the surround. But no, those Reapers, those slippery Reapers, managed to get out there. A Hellion is now on the field. Remember, they have a hell of a lot of hit points, and they do extra damage. They do quite a lot of damage against light. And those Reapers are definitely light creatures, especially when surrounded by those SCVs healing up that Hellion. And it looks like that Hellion is going to succeed in cleaning up both of those Reapers. So yeah, total workers killed 6. Yeah, and that was worth it. That was definitely worth it, because oG'Hiei needed to be able to do that economic damage to get him on even footing. Because yeah, even with those workers killed, they would be about even. But that orbital command was done substantially faster for Exquisite. He's going to have 1 extra mule. He's going to have a lot of extra minerals because of that. So I think things have stabilized right now, despite the SCV count disparity. The early orbital command on Exquisite side of things actually just kind of equalize everything out. So very, very nice, very stable. Right now, both players are going to feel confident enough to press on, follow through with their actual builds. And it looks like that build from oG'Hiei is going to be a very heavy ground army mix. He's got double reactors on his barracks, working on that stem. Hasn't started on combat shield, hasn't thrown on any engineering bays just yet, but I expect we're going to see a starport thrown down next to that factory, and he'll actually start working on some of that higher tech. Yeah, there goes that starport. Where was it? Oh, right next to the factory. That's so cool. And we do see an engineering bay. It's just not working on anything just yet. Engineering bay also down for Exquisite, but he is working a little bit more mech oriented. He's got that second factory coming up. Tech lab already out on the field. Remember, you don't need to research siege mode anymore, so the siege tank is definitely going to be shutting down any sort of Reaper harass that we could be seeing coming out of oG'Hiei. But with these 2 Hellions out on the field, I don't think we're going to be seeing any sort of shenanigans. I think oG'Hiei is just going to be working towards that more traditional 12-minute timing attack with that +1 and stem now underway. Yeah, I think we're going to see another tech lab thrown down on a barracks, and maybe start on that combat shield, make those Marines even more resilient. What is he going to do with the factory, though, is the real main question. Is he going to start producing some siege tanks to complement them, just because he'll be able to hold back the encroaching siege tank line of Exquisite, or will he be working on maybe some Widow Mines for some drop play later on? I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, Exquisite is just continuing to add on infrastructure back at home, another factory, another command center, so he can eventually take his 3rd once his siege tank line gets aggressive enough. Hellions aggressively posturing just right out front, allowing that SCV. It's okay, SCV. No, these guys don't care. I guess Exquisite's not splitting these up to make it so that there is no gap for them. They obviously saw the SCV. I wonder why they didn't aggro on top of it. Kind of funny. Kind of funny. Stem's going to be finishing, but with that +1 just a couple seconds away. oG'Hiei is not preparing to push out. Yeah, here we go. Excellent. Perfect timing, actually, with those double medevacs. This map is nice and large. Those medevacs are going to be flying right on top of those Hellions, and the Marines skirting right beside those Hellions. These guys are officially the worst watchdogs in the world. It looks like the Marine poking up to the top left-hand side, and is going to be patrolling, and this guy is specifically doing this because of this. He's going to be perfectly positioned to intercept this drop, and is really going to give Exquisite a warning that these medevacs are actually on their way, and he doesn't really need it because he's got so many of these missile turrets already up, shelling down a lot of extra damage. It looks like one of them just melts away before even managing to drop off half of its complement of troops, and the other half goes to town on the first siege tank. Another 2 siege tanks pushing in, but the stutter step and stem proves to be way too much. Remember that +1 is also done for oG'Hiei. He has not started. Oh, he has done the combat shields. You can also tell by looking at them. I totally missed that. It's such a quick upgrade that I miss it all the time. +1 ground, or is that yeah, +1 ground also started for Exquisite. His siege tanks, while he did lose 3 of them, he's got another 3 back at home to protect against the front door. Really doesn't have to worry about some sort of overt push, even though oG'Hiei has loaded up another round of medevacs and is pushing off down to the 3rd. I don't think Exquisite's going to be able to take and hold his 3rd anytime soon, but I also don't think oG'Hiei is going to be able to break the front door of Exquisite. What with those siege tanks down, and we can already see that the Hellions, or Hellbats, pardon me, are being added into the mix, and I think that's really cool. Getting that splash damage out there makes it so that even if oG'Hiei tries something frisky like dropping his Marines right on top of that siege tank line, he's going to be able to clean that up pretty quickly with these Hellbats doing that extra damage. Here comes the encroaching push. Oh, Widow Mine just being able to take out. Oh wow, 4 units killed. I guess there was a little bit of a pseudo push early on that I totally missed that Widow Mine took care of. But here comes the medevacs. Yeah, they're pushing in, dropping down their guys, getting them melted away, but scouting out those Hellbats, realizing that it's really not worth dropping them down, electing to drop them down on the ramp. But look at how quickly this just gets melted away by all those siege tanks. Really, just not really doing its job there at all. Exquisite having no issues holding back that push, these medevacs having to limp away. What I would have loved to have seen would be the drop over here, maybe get the splash damage on those SCVs, or realizing that it's just way too many siege tanks pushing forward into the main base and actually doing some damage to the economy and to the infrastructure. We can see that the Infernal Pre-Igniters are also being started, so these Hellbats are going to be even more intimidating. 2 more on the production tab, and the siege tank count just keeps rolling in. 9 siege tanks total. See some Marauders being added into the mix back at home. Only 1 on the production tab right now, but another 2 out. And yeah, only 1 tech lab on all of these barracks, which is unfortunate because those Marauders really can break a siege tank line like no one else's business. Plus 1 ground armor being added into the mix for oG.Hiei, making it so those Marauders are going to be just that much more resilient for the incoming push. I think oG.Hiei is, once again, he's playing this a little bit more aggressively. He has not grabbed his 3rd just yet. The 3rd has been constructed and is going to be landing. He's going to be able to drop down a bunch of mules for Exquisite, and it looks like he's just now preparing to take that. Where is that CC coming from? He hasn't built it yet. Oh, yeah, he has. He's got it in the main base. It's going to be transitioning up there. So really, not as far behind as I thought he was going to be. He's only a little bit behind. That just shows you how incredibly inexpensive Terran Bio can be. Being able to be constantly aggressive like this, constantly dropping small clusters of units, and still be able to take your 3rd at a very reasonable time frame. However, this is an unreasonable number of siege tanks, and Exquisite is going to have, once again, no problem rebuffing oG.Hiei. However, something I've noticed, he's sacrificing a lot to get out the sheer number of siege tanks. He's got a lot of siege tanks here. Doesn't have any Vikings, though. I'd love to see just a pair of Vikings, maybe 4 Vikings, so they can start to clean up the drops. oG.Hiei is going to be able to shred him if he continues to be open to these drops. Yeah, his defenses back at home, these missile turrets, that's awesome. And that's really going to shut down drops in that particular direction. However, if he brings a medevac too far north, drops it off here, manages to take down that 1 missile turret, all of a sudden he's got this entire base. Vikings are an excellent answer to that. You start getting out those Vikings now, make it so you can keep the sheer number of medevacs in check, and yeah, as long as you can control the ground with your siege tanks and you control the air with your Vikings, you really aren't vulnerable to anything. oG.Hiei has a leg up on Exquisite, though. He's got 4 Vikings out right now. Do we even have a starport at all? Yeah, we do. We have a single starport. Oh, and he's starting on the Vikings. Really good job. Oh my goodness, but it is too late. We have the fusion core on the production tab right now, and we have 2 more starports adding on tech labs. This is brutal. I did not see this coming at all. oG.Hiei is transitioning over to the battle cruisers so that he can actually start breaking down these siege tanks. And yeah, that anti-air is really going to bite Exquisite in the butt now. He is starting up on the Viking production, so that's awesome. That's good that he's getting it. However, he's behind already. He's there's 4 Vikings out on the field. There's more on the production tab coming because of that fusion core. This is a significant issue, because if you lose the air battle, even if it's just the Banshees, your siege tank line really isn't long for the world. And Exquisite's going to be in for a world of hurt if he waits too long and allows oG.Hiei to get up those battle cruisers. Obviously, there's a supply disparity, 172 over 162, but with 2 battle cruisers added into the mix, that can really swing the favor into oG.Hiei's corner. So yeah, this is actually getting really interested really quickly, and I like how. Actually, I don't like it. I do not like this pseudo build. I was trying to spin it positively. I like siege tanks, I love Marines, but I feel like there's too much tech here so that oG.Hiei can't really adequately focus on one or the other. Siege tanks are awesome to hold back Exquisite until the battle cruisers get out there, but now that the battle cruiser tech exists, why are we still making siege tanks? I feel like he's just trying to fight Exquisite on Exquisite's terms, and that might bite him in the butt. However, if he can get up enough siege tanks, it's really not going to matter one way or another. And I also will note that oG.Hiei is not producing anything out of any of the biotech. His racks are completely silent right now, so he's got a lot of wasted opportunity for that right now. And I think he heard me. He's producing 4 more Marines, but look at that. It's just an enormous swell of units coming out. The battle cruisers now are out on the field, and that's going to be incredibly intimidating once Exquisite learns about it. back at home, we still don't see any Vikings added into this mix. Oh, man, I'm always like 3 seconds behind because of these guys, and it's because they play at such a high skill level. It's not my fault, I swear. A small little strike force of Marines down on the right-hand side. It looks like they're going to be intercepting this orbital command, making its way down there. I don't know why he's electing to take that, except maybe he's hoping it's going to be hidden. I love taking this base because it will also protect your main. Wow, Exquisite pushing forward with his siege tanks and his Hellions. However, the single Viking gets picked off immediately, and now here we go. The battle cruisers have made themselves known, shelling down a lot of extra damage, and immediately Exquisite starts to retreat. He knows that he's got absolutely nothing that can shoot up, and because of that, he has to immediately retreat. 200 supply, almost to 200 supply, and that's pretty bad for Exquisite, because even if he could get out the number of Vikings necessary to clean this up, he doesn't have the supply for it. He's going to have to start sacrificing units. He's got the money for it, though. Definitely got the money. Something else we can consider is the fact that he's got so many siege tanks. He's got the tech labs already. Get some Thors out. Absolutely. Those Thors do extra damage with their special. I don't even know the name, but the one-shot, one-kill sort of attack from the Thors, doing extra damage to those battle cruisers can definitely swing the tides back into your favor. Even if you don't have air superiority, doesn't mean you can't have anti-air. Get some Thors out there, and maybe it's time to start sacrificing SCVs, because he's got a lot of minerals already banked up, and he's got a lot of orbital commands. So he can definitely afford to start sacrificing SCVs to clean up some supply, to get out some of those extra Thors. On the other side of things, oG.Hiei has managed to take his fourth. He's in a commanding lead right now. His tech is currently superior to the tech of Exquisite. I'd love to see him add on a handful, maybe 1 or 2 more starports. Man, it's like I want to go back and rewatch this video and see exactly how far behind them I am. Like, I feel like it's exactly 20 seconds, because 20 seconds later they do what I want them to do. oG.Hiei is going to be doing a drop, and it looks like he's going to be doing that drop directly on top of these missile turrets, losing a lot of his medevacs. However, those medevacs and this bioforce is just not as important as it used to be. It used to be the entire standing force of oG.Hiei, but he's sacrificing a lot of it so he can actually transition back over to those battle cruisers. So we see 2 Thors on the production tab, 4 battle cruisers, really not reproducing the bioforces that he lost in that drop, kind of the Terran equivalent of sacrificing drones or SCVs. Here we see Exquisite suiciding a bunch of SCVs. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a healthy strike force right here trying to do a run by, but because of the positioning of the oG.Hiei's army, he managed to clean up. It was probably six siege tanks. It was hard to count it on the mini map, but there was a small strike force. At the same time, it was going on up here, and I feel like this was more important to focus on. Regardless, Exquisite lost a small chunk, freed up some supply, and it looks like he's getting out another wave of Vikings. He's got about 10 Vikings out right now and a handful of Thors back at home, so he's gotten his own complement of anti-air. Even some Widow Mines added into the mix, so we can actually get some aerial splash damage down. Got to be careful with those Vikings, as they do like to clump up when they're targeting down a single thing. But the battle cruisers are really the thorn in Exquisite's side, because as long as those Vikings manage to clean up the other Vikings, and with some Ravens coming out with that Corvid reactor, the point defense drones are really going to be working in oG.Hiei's favor. He's just one step ahead, and I know I was harping on the bad quote choice of these siege tanks, but now with the lacking numbers of those Marines and Marauders, now that there's no real ground army for oG.Hiei, he's going to have to be relying on those siege tanks to keep a run by or a base trade scenario from happening. SCVs added into the mix just to repair stuff, but it looks like oG.Hiei is also sacrificing a handful of his own SCVs just to clean up some extra supply. Both players very cat and mouse right now. Very, very cat and mouse. Neither really wants to aggressively posture, because oG.Hiei's afraid of the siege tank line from Exquisite, and Exquisite is afraid of those battle cruisers. Do we have the Yamato cannon? Does that well, let me see. I'm curious now. Oh, no, we do not. No, we do not, but we might see it later on, so we will have to pay attention to that later, just because those Yamato cannons can really make mincemeat out of those Thors, and I think those Thors are going to be your high-priced target. A couple of SCVs being frisky on the move command. The entirety of Exquisite army just walks right over it, and it looks like SCV after SCV and Marine after Marine is just going to be suiciding in, just to see what sort of harassment they can do, what sort of scouting they can get, as oG.Hiei's force is fully tier 3. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in here that's obsolete anymore. And yeah, those battle cruisers could really benefit from the Yamato cannon upgrade. And now that those Ravens are out, they're going to be able to throw down some point defense drones, which is really going to help out the coming engagement. But I feel like this engagement is nigh. Both players have so much extra money back at home. They haven't really upgraded their infrastructure. They're not going to be able to repopulate their forces very quickly. So this is really rapidly becoming a one winner take all. Just one big fight, and then this is absolutely over. Handful of volleys going in the favor of Exquisite, being able to target down a couple of those Vikings, and we can see that the supply very quickly falls as those Hellions get baited into the siege tank line from oG.Hiei. Even though the siege tank line is significantly smaller, the siege tanks are still very reticent to actually push forward into that siege tank line. And now that the battle lines have been drawn, those Ravens overextending themselves underneath the missile turrets. Good decision there from Exquisite to get those missile turrets out there to actually help him in the anti-air battle. That's actually a very, very clever attack. Speaking of an attack, the Marines doing a stutter step run by from the bunker, managing to take down the armory as well as this orbital command. Will they swing north into the infrastructure back at home? Like I said, it's pretty lacking. He's not going to be able to repopulate very, very quickly, and Exquisite has a lot of stuff on the way. However, the majority of them take a while to build. Thors, Vikings, the Widow Mines getting off a very clutch hit right there, but the other ones stutter stepping past. I don't believe they have the drilling claws. They won't be able to burrow so fast that these Marines can actually get cleaned up. And it looks like, yeah, a handful of the Thors will not be constructed as the oh, no, yeah, that's right, it finishes without the tech lab, never mind. And the Thors just pop out, absolutely crush all these Marines. Brutal. Speaking of brutal, Hunter Seeker missiles are absolutely fantastic at breaking a siege tank line whenever there's not enough Vikings to push forward. The second these Vikings overextend themselves, they're really going to get cleaned up. Some of the resupply from those Vikings going to be swinging in here. However, I believe that oG.Hiei has the numerical superiority. I mean, look at all these battle cruisers. Holy crap, so many battle cruisers. And I do believe they still do not have the Yamato cannon. No, they do not. So still going to be not having the ability to one-shot these missile turrets down. Won't be able to kind of shell down a hell of a lot of extra damage on these Thors, but just the sheer number. I mean, look at these guys. There's so many of them. It's absolutely brutal. And I think that the coming, it's coming. It's definitely coming. With the stutter step attack of all those Marines, it looks like another attack is going off into the top left-hand side. Both players have a massive bank to rely upon, but the infrastructure just isn't there for Exquisite to resupply. And while oG.Hiei also doesn't have a full infrastructure to just mass-produce battle cruisers if he were to lose any of them, he doesn't need to because he hasn't lost a single battle cruiser yet. And he's got 9 of them in absolutely pristine health. And another one on the way. Plus 2 weapons is done. Do we have 2 armor? We do have 2 armor. Absolutely fantastic. The behemoth reactor for those battle cruisers, but no weapons refit just yet. So no Yamato just yet. We will wait. We will see. It looks like another run by, maybe a single Thor of a handful of Marines going to be pushing off into the top right-hand side. Another little poke. Oh, there goes the weapons refit. Awesome. Yamato cannon will be coming out in just another minute. Is it a minute? Yeah, 60 seconds. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, but the Thors are there, and several of them are in that high payload Punisher cannons. Pardon me. The Punisher cannons have been deployed on those Thors, and they will be doing extra damage just to a single target, no splash damage anymore, if you're familiar with how that worked. At the same time, the third is going to be going down, and I think what oG.Hiei is doing is making it so that Exquisite is so economically starved that oG.Hiei is going to be Exquisite is going to be forced to actually push forward. And when he does, oG.Hiei's already got his siege tanks, even though there's only 5 of them in siege mode. And once Exquisite overextends himself away from the handful of missile turrets, away from his siege tanks, he's just going to get shredded. Look to see how many of those port defense drones go down. Oh no, here comes oG.Hiei. Now that weapons refit is done, here comes the Yamato cannons. Boom, boom, goes the missile turrets. Holy crap. Oh man, but those Vikings and those Thors are doing a surprising amount of damage to those battle cruisers, but now the point defense drones are down. oG.Hiei is not engaging with the full bulk of his force until just now, pushing in here with every single one of his Ravens, soaking up just a little bit of extra damage, and his Vikings getting underneath those other Vikings from Exquisite, trying to draw the fire of those Widow Mines underneath. And now it's pretty much just the battle cruisers left with the Thors, and once all the anti-air was cleaned up, Exquisite has no choice but to tap out. Great decision by oG.Hiei just to go with the battle cruisers. I feel like Exquisite had a timing there. It was maybe like 5 minutes long, out of this 35-minute game, that he had an advantage. He had this nice intimidating force, and there was only like 2 battlecruisers out. And I feel like he could have pushed down here and maybe denied a base, maybe actually suicided up here and crushed some of that extra infrastructure, and then did a full-on switch. He kind of cut corners by not getting that anti-air out, and because of that, oG.Hiei could get those battlecruisers out there, and really there wasn't much that Exquisite could do to deny them, which is why it's so important. Even if it's doesn't seem like it's necessary to get that anti-air out, it seems like you can cut that corner. This is really oG.Hiei just showing you how to really punish somebody who cuts that corner. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was definitely neat. You guys are neat. If you guys want to see more of these replays, be sure to subscribe to this channel, and also feel free to stop by Team oGaming's website, which is just teamogaming.net. Regardless, I will see you guys later. I am IBigAndScary.